very good afternoon to you. Welcome to your lunchtime news bulletin. As always, coming to you live here on MTV Sports with News First. I'm Shine Jarampati. Let's start off your bulletin with a look at the headlines. The official theme song for MTV MBC for Shogam 2013 launched. Minister of External Affairs to travel to Pakistan tomorrow on an official visit. Number of election complaints rises to 160. Now for those stories in detail. The official theme song of MTV MBC in view of Shogam was launched this morning. Now Shogam is scheduled to take place from the 10th to the 17th of November. The official theme song in view of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting was aired across Sirasa TV, Shakti TV, MTV Sports, Sirasa FM, Yes FM, Shakti FM, YFM and Legends 96.6, while the launch was held at Stein Studios in Ratmalana. The song was launched under the auspices of the Secretary of the Ministry of Mass Media Information, Dr. Charita Herath. The lyrics to the song was composed by Sidney Chandrasekhara, while Sangit Vikramasinghe produced the music to the song. The song is performed by Chitral Somapala together with the Sirasa Shakti superstars, Voice Print and a number of other artists. Meanwhile, Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Peiris is scheduled to leave the country tomorrow on an official visit to Pakistan. Professor Peiris is expected to meet the Prime Minister of Pakistan Nawaz Sharif as well as the Minister of Foreign Affairs for discussions. Now, the Secretary to the Ministry of External Affairs Karnatalaka Amunugama said that the purpose of the visit is to invite Pakistan for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which is to be held in Sri Lanka in November. Minister Professor G.L. Peiris, who was on an official visit to India last week, also extended an invitation to the Indian Prime Minister on behalf of the President for Shogam as well. The Election Secretariat says that 160 complaints have been lodged with regard to the North, Central and Northwestern Provincial Council elections. The complaints unit attached to the Election Secretariat said that 14 incidents of election-related violence has been lodged thus far, which are grave in nature. Majority of the complaints, numbering up to 43, were reported from the Kurunegala district. 26 incidents relating to illegal propaganda activities, 29 on the use of state vehicles for election activities have been reported so far. Meanwhile, 10 complaints have been lodged relating to the transfer and promotion of state officials. On to other local news. Minister of Construction, Engineering Services, Housing and Common Amenities, Vimal Veerawangsa, attended a public rally in Dikpala, Dankotua yesterday. The principal of human rights is coming to see if the children of Sri Lanka are protecting human rights. She doesn't go to Iraq, Afghanistan or to America to see how the US military is protecting human rights. But she comes to Sri Lanka instead. She's trying to find a way to disrupt our plans to attain long-term peace after winning the war. Although the UNP is crawling on all fours, do not think that they are not our enemy. Though Ranil Vikramasinghe and the UNP is in a weak position, the embassies are active.
Vikramasinghe mahathaya ekka UNP හතර ගාතේ වැටලා හිටියට තානාපති කාර්යාල බරට වැඩ.
General Secretary of the JVP Tilvin Silva shared these views during a media briefing in the Megalava area in Bandaragama. When you go to the grocery to buy goods, do you pick up anything that is there? However, when it comes to forming a government, they just cast their ballots without choosing carefully. Afterward, they keep berating and complaining. Who are they blaming? It is as if someone else brought the government into power. Well, you're watching Lunchtime News. Up now for a short commercial break. Hello, welcome back to the news. The water cutting ceremony or Dia Kapime Mangalya of the Kandy Asala Perahera was held today.
The shamans or Kapu Mahatu of the four main Devalayas arrived at the Katapithura of the Mahavali river to perform the water cutting ceremony. Tradition dictates that this ceremony be performed before the rising of the sun. On the 7th of this month, the cup situime ceremony signaled the commencement of the Asala Perahera. The cup that was used in this ceremony was brought to the Katapithura today and was floated downstream. Thereafter, the water that was obtained during last year's water cutting ceremony was emptied from the special container carrying it, and new water was filled in its place. Meanwhile, the final Randoli Perahera, which commenced at the auspicious time of 7:51 p.m. yesterday, concluded at midnight.
A convocation ceremony was held at the International Buddhist Center in Palekala yesterday. Now, the event was held under the auspices of Minister of Higher Education S.B. Dissanayake. Anunaik of the Malwata chapter Venerable Dimul Kumbre Vimalada Mathera, including the Mahasangha and monks from Taiwan and China, were present for the event. Diploma certificates of Buddhism, Sanskrit and the Pali languages were presented to monks from various other countries as well. A diploma certificate on the Pali and Sanskrit languages was also presented to Catholic priest Reverend Father Edward Christie Pereira. Well, now moving overseas, more than 30,000 Syrian refugees have crossed the border into northern Iraq in less than a week to escape the civil war and violence in their homeland.
According to the UN Refugee Agency, the influx began when the Kurdistan Regional Government authorities in northern Iraq opened access across the Peshkabur pontoon bridge. Erdogan Kalkan from the UN Refugee Agency said that the Kurdistan government has opened the border for refugees coming from Syria since the 15th of August. More than 7,000 people streamed through the border on the first day. According to UNICEF, nearly half the estimated 4,800 people who crossed on Monday are children. It has identified at least 80 unaccompanied teenage boys sent across the border by their families for their safety or to find work. More than 1.9 million Syrians have fled to neighboring countries and North Africa since the uprising began in March 2011 and Syria descended into civil war.
Meanwhile, a U.S. Army spokesman said Bradley Manning, the soldier convicted of giving classified U.S. files to WikiLeaks, will be told today how much of his life will be spent in a military prison.
U.S. soldier Bradley Manning is expected to be sentenced on Wednesday morning. The 25-year-old private first class could face up to 90 years in prison for giving hundreds of thousands of classified documents to WikiLeaks. Prosecutors are requesting 60 years, while the defense is asking the judge not to rob him of his youth. The massive leak made headlines around the world. The classified files contain secret State Department cables and information about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Manning had access to the classified documents while working as an intelligence analyst in Baghdad in 2010. He was convicted in July on 20 counts, including espionage and theft.
Well, starting off sports with football news, FIFA World Cup tickets for Brazil 2014 officially went on sale yesterday, even if the Sao Paulo Stadium scheduled to host the opening game next June is not yet complete. The World Cup kicks off in Sao Paulo on the 12th of June and takes place in 12 cities, with the final at the Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro on the 13th of July. FIFA Secretary General Jerome Valcke visited the Sao Paulo Stadium on Monday to see what progress has been made wrapping up the construction of a stadium plagued with delays. The stadium is located on the eastern edge of Brazil's largest and richest city and has an estimated construction cost of $340 million. Tickets for the 2014 World Cup will cost some 10% more than in South Africa in 2010, with the most expensive ones for international fans selling for $990 and the cheapest for $90. More than 1 million tickets for the first phase of the tournament went on sale on the 20th of August. If they were not all sold by the 10th of October, they will be offered again from the first week of November. Some 3 million tickets are available in total, with 700,000 of them going on sale to international fans. 500,000 cheaper tickets have been set aside exclusively for Brazilians, with many being offered at half price to pensioners, students and people receiving government aid. The tickets, all of which are for group games, could be sold for $15. Well, in more football news, Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho says that nothing has changed in the club's pursuit of Wayne Rooney, but that the club have a plan B and C if Manchester United remain steadfast in their refusal to sell. The Portuguese coach has pursued Rooney all summer and openly talked about the prospect of the transfer, but was a little less willing to discuss other potential targets. Chelsea sources have informed that the club are interested in Samuel Eto'o, despite the fact no formal contact has yet been made, and Galatasaray's Burak Yilmaz. It is understood that there is an increasing acceptance at Stamford Bridge that United will not sell Rooney, but Mourinho admitted they are still interested. The coach said nothing has changed, as he was then asked why the club keep chasing a player despite 2 previous bids being rejected. When questioned on whether he has a plan B, Mourinho quickly stated and C. Those are understood to be Eto'o and Yilmaz. He said, quote, "We trust a lot in our project, but we have conditions to try and improve our team with one more player, and we will try until the end," unquote. The Chelsea manager also said he agreed with Newcastle boss Alan Pardew's comments that the transfer window is open for too long. That brings today's edition of Lunchtime News to a close. For News First, I'm Shanju Rampati. Goodbye and take care.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.